I'd like to welcome into the program Congressman Ben Cline from Virginia. Great to see you, sir.
Thanks for having me.
So you get a lot going on in your world these days. I want to get to the possibility of a default. I can't even believe I'm saying those words. But before I do, we got like some 306 pages that I still got to make my way through here. But the highlights, the headlines, I would just say are pretty darn disturbing. They confirm everything that many Americans, including yours truly, suspected. And I think there's a lot of worry that maybe it happened in 2020, with the way that the whole Hunter laptop thing got shut down. And there's a lot of fear that the FBI might interfere again in some way, shape, or form as we go into 2024. I know you're on the Judiciary Committee. What are you guys going to do about this?
Well, you saw the report. The executive summary alone is a barn burner. I put it out on Twitter immediately, and it just shows what we all knew to be true, that the Steele dossier was a fraud, that it was pushed even though people in the FBI knew it to be a fraud. And then the big Russia collusion lie was pushed by many in the White House, including the Vice President, now President Joe Biden. They were aware of it as well. So the fact, it's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, it is. It is crazy. And a lot of people are upset with Durham saying, hey, wait a second, why didn't he bring any charges? It's a fair question, but now people are looking to Congress and saying, okay, can Congress do something here? What kind of investigation should you be undertaking in order to make sure that basically things have been cleaned up? The FBI says it's taken steps, but I'm sorry, this stuff was basic. Like, I've been a journalist my whole career. I don't go with a story unless I have it from multiple sources. Heck, I would think our FBI wouldn't actually start a wiretapping campaign on an actual campaign unless they had sourced some of this stuff themselves, and they never bothered. They were taking Oppo research. So how do we make sure it never, ever happens again?
Yeah, is it too much to ask that we have a free and fair election without interference from our intelligence agencies? They did it in 16, they did it in 20, and you still look at the raid on Mar-a-Lago, the Mueller investigation. It seems like right around every 2 years, you get some kind of finger on the scale from our intelligence agency. So we have several options in Congress. The first is the power of the purse. So right now, the Appropriations Committee, I'm on Commerce, Justice, Science Subcommittee. We're looking at the FBI's budget. We're trying to, argue for the case that they need a significant cut in their budget. The second thing is we have restored this rule called the Gephardt rule, which allows us to line item cut any bureaucrat's salary. And so you better believe that there are going to be some who are going to be pushing to line item cut salaries like Christopher Wray's. Then you have authorizing. And so the Judiciary Committee is going to be looking further into this. We're going to be having hearings on the report. But we're also going to have to reauthorize FISA, for example, the idea that you can, the FBI can go get these warrants to surveil Americans, to surveil an American presidential candidate, these types of standards that are used to get these warrants, and whether or not the American people are represented in these closed hearings. These are all issues that are going to be discussed in the Judiciary Committee. And I'm proud to be on that.
It's high time we do, for sure. Turning to $31.4 trillion worth of debt. And Kevin McCarthy sounding somewhat optimistic, but I still feel like the Democrats are not willing to budge an inch. I mean, can't you just cut some spending, a little bit of spending, maybe discretionary spending over there to kind of at least come to a deal? I get frustrated with you guys because you're all politicians. And I sometimes say, if you have people from the business world, they'll come together, they'll do a deal. But, Joe Biden, he's certainly not from the business world, and he's making a political issue out of this. We have a lot of brinkmanship, and I would just say, hey, listen, it's pretty important that the U.S. pay its bills. What's your take, given you're on appropriations? Can we get this done? Will it get done in time?
It will get done. We will not default. But when you don't have a negotiator on the other side of the table who's negotiating in good faith, that makes it hard. When you have somebody who's folded with their arms across their chest saying my way or the highway, and he flies off to Japan and leaves negotiations at such a critical time. I mean, we have passed a bill. The House is the only body that has passed a bill to raise the debt ceiling. The Senate won't pass anything. The president just wants to throw stones at what we've done. If you're feeling so strongly about your issues with what we've done, pass something yourself, and then we'll be on even negotiating, the schoolhouse rock scenario where the House passes something, the Senate passes something, and then you go to conference. Instead, when I was sworn into the bar, my parents told me, when you negotiate, never negotiate against yourself. That's something you learn early on in law. So we're not going to negotiate against ourselves. We've passed a great bill.
Great. All right. Well, Congressman Cline, thank you for taking your time today. We so appreciate it. Keep up the hard work, and we'll check in soon.